Here is our Legends Ford. We want to use some carbon fiber to save weight and look cool. We are going to use the carbon fiber Spec Map Effect 3.0 content created by Simon Ermist. This is a high-quality texture which also uses Spec Map effects to enhance the result. We apply the carbon effect using 3 layers. A normal paint texture, a red metallic Spec Map texture, a green Roughness Spec Map texture. The video description has a link to a zip file containing the carbon fiber Spec Map Effect 3.0 content. If your Spec Map is a grayscale Spec Map, use the grayscale files. If your Spec Map is an RGB Spec Map, use the RGB files. We need to decide what will be carbon. On most cars this would normally be the wing. On our Legends Ford we are going to make the removable panels carbon. The bonnet and the boot or trunk hatch. We need to create layers that isolate these parts. Zoom in on the bonnet. Use the rectangle tool to approximately surround the bonnet. Let's set the fill color to white. We can't align our shape to the wireframe because we can't actually see the wireframe. Let's temporarily reduce the opacity of our rectangle so we can see what we are doing. Now convert the rectangle to curve so we can reshape the rectangle to the bonnet. Select the node tool. We will add some nodes and move some existing nodes to reshape the rectangle to the bonnet. Add nodes by clicking on the line of the shape. Click on any node to select it. I'm using the arrow keys to precisely move nodes. You can curve the line between nodes by dragging the line with the mouse. But in this case it's not necessary. Straight lines will be fine. Outside the paint area we don't need to be accurate. Inside the paint area we do need to be accurate. The shape and curve tools are vector tools which provide great edge resolution. Shapes and curves can be edited at a later date. There are many YouTube videos explaining how to use curves and nodes. Reset the opacity of the bonnet shape to 100%. Name the shape bonnet. Now scroll across to the boot or trunk and zoom in for good visibility. This time we will use the rounded rectangle because the hatch has rounded corners. Again we will temporarily reduce the opacity so we can see what we are doing. We need to reduce the corner radius to get a better match with the hatch corners. 5% was close, but let's try 4%. The sides need small corrections. Reset the opacity of the hatch shape to 100%. Name the shape boot. Now we have two layers that identify parts that are to have a carbon texture. That is their only purpose, they will not be used to paint the car. Put them into a group named parts to make it easy to use all these carbon parts in one step. We can add, edit or remove parts inside this group at a later date. Create a group named carbon containing the parts group. Drag the carbon paint texture JPEG image into the project. Select the pointer tool. Set the X and Y position of the carbon texture to 0. Drag the carbon paint texture into the carbon group. The carbon paint texture is the same size as the car template, it has covered everything. This is okay because we are going to mask the carbon layer at the group level. Hold the Ctrl or Command key and click the parts group. Now we have selected all carbon parts. Click on the carbon group to select it, then click on the mask button. This masks the carbon texture to our part selection. And there we have it, carbon only on the parts we want to be carbon. Export the car paint and view it in the car viewer. Make the Spec Map layer visible. Expand the Spec Map group. Expand the red metallic group. Drag the carbon red metallic texture into the project. Set its X and Y position to 0. Drag the carbon red metallic texture to below the red parts layer. Our parts selection is still active, we can click on the mask button. Expand the green roughness group. Drag the carbon green roughness texture into the project. Set its X and Y position to 0. Drag the carbon green roughness texture to below the green parts layer. Our parts selection is still active, we can click on the mask button. Our parts mask makes it so easy to implement the carbon spec map layers. Now export the spec map to the paint folder. Then use the car viewer to see the result. The key aspects of this technique are: 1. Using an excellent carbon texture and spec map effect from Simon Ermist. 2. There is only one copy of each carbon texture, which keeps the project size and complexity low. The carbon textures are masked to only be visible over the areas we want to be carbon. 3. Having a group with all our parts layers enables us to add, alter or delete the carbon parts and then recreate masks easily and quickly.